I just edited Dispatch episode 1 and 2 for my client Elastic Droid, which, if you don't know, it's a superhero style workplace comedy with some light quick time events, branching dialogue paths that can drastically impact the future of the story, and some lovable characters I'm sure will inevitably end up in some situation where one of them will be killed and I will be big angry. Hashtag Royd is the GOAT, by the way. And since I'll be editing these with a less than 24-hour turnaround, I won't actually get to experience the game firsthand myself. But that's okay, because watching the whole story unfold while cutting up the footage is great, and it lets me still experience the story, even if it is just, from the sidelines. Now, despite the fact I won't be streaming it myself, I still kind of have this itch to really make some content somewhat adjacent to the game, and I've been eager to start experimenting with the channel since it's towards the end of the year and I kind of am just in a fuck it mood, so let's get weird, shall we? While I work on my behemoth of a Poppy Playtime retrospective video that's taken me the greater part of this year to on and off work on again, I figure let's do some weekly uploads and dissect each of the 2 episodes being released for Dispatch, where I will talk about my general thoughts on how the story's progressing, the characters, the fights that may occur, all that good stuff. And then I'll also float some mini theories to you guys to see if we can maybe sort of get an idea of where the story may or may not be heading. Figured it might be fun to try. The goal is to get these out a day after the release of the episodes and the subsequent video, which I'm going to try to edit every single week within the same day. Oh boy, my sleeping schedule is going to die. But it's worth it, honestly, because I really do like this game. And what I'll try to do is every week on hopefully Thursdays, I'll have this video made, ready to go at 3 p.m. EST, because I don't want to mess with my normal schedule, because this is a bit of, again, as an experiment for me, just to see if I could do weekly content. Why not? I'm gonna try to keep these as simple as humanly possible to produce, so there won't be too much sort of like crazy wobbly wobbly sort of shit happening, and there will only be minimal amounts of B-roll, so don't expect a Picasso or a Matisse here. Matisse, Jesus Christ, I can't speak. It's 4 a.m. when I'm recording this. But yeah, I want to try to make these fast, simple, and really kind of just for fun, Why not? All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what I really enjoy about these first 2 episodes. The fight choreography is just super fluid. It never feels like anybody's not getting the right kind of attention. It doesn't move too fast. It doesn't move too slow. It just feels so good to watch, especially with such unique and dynamic powers that don't usually get shown off as much. I really like that part as well. And I noticed while I was actually editing this video for Droid, specifically while I was censoring toxic nether regions, since Droid did not turn off the nudity censoring, I noticed the game would sometimes have the characters hold poses in 2s or 3s, which is really cool and creates some really tense moments where the camera gets to move and we get to see the characters kind of hold, and then it kind of creates this sort of like, I don't know, cartoony sort of style. I see it a lot in K-pop Demon Hunters. I watch an animator who kind of broke down their sort of thing that they did, and it kind of uses that technique, and I really, really like it a lot. Overall too, the designs for each of the characters we're introduced to feel so vibrant and expressive. I love how it feels cartoony and stylized, but it still has some elements of realistic proportions and sort of lighting and shadows. It's the animator's wet dream. I love it. I'm not an animator, but I love animation. There's also a lot of great voice talent present, such as Jeffrey Wright, Laura Bailey, Aaron Yvette, and a whole load of other people I just did not expect to have knocked it out of the park as well as they did. The whole regaining his footing after having his legacy just kind of crumble all in front of him, I think is just a really well done beat, and I'm really invested to see where Mecha Man's journey goes, in addition to the Z crew here of villains who are trying to attempt to do the good, Also, like every other person on the internet, I'm pretty sure, I really, really, really want to see Blonde Blazer and him just get more romantic moments, because like, whew, damn, the chemistry between those two is just electric. This chapter as a whole, I love the vibes, I love the feels, the world, everything about it. It's just so fucking cool. And if you have not played Dispatch, I highly encourage you to play it. I know I'm kind of spoiling some things here in this video, but just trust me, it is really fucking good. So now let's jump into our first mini theory with a question. After Mecha Man, or Robert as his secret identity is, escapes from the fight from the trap set by our main villain Shroud, when he believes he's in the clear, a bomb goes off on his back, destroying his suit, putting him into a coma for months, and just, retiring as a superhero pretty much as a whole. How, though, did the bomb end up on his back? The most prevailing theory I saw people kind of gravitating towards was that it could be Invisigal's doing, since, she can be invisible and possibly undetectable. And to some degree, I think it has a little bit of weight to it. For starters, during the fight with Toxic, an ambush occurs where Mecha Man's suit needs to be rebooted. One might assume that since most of the systems are kind of coming back online, the sensors on the suit could be non-functional at this time, thus allowing her to sneak onto his back undetected and just kind of boop, This most likely probably would have happened right before Robert's shields actually end up getting put up, because nobody actually is attacking him for a what feels like a deliberate amount of time. So that small window could be when Invisigal could have jumped on, booped, and, ran off. Hell, this could even explain her abrasiveness towards our protagonist later in episode 2 when she returns from the donut incident, using the outburst as a way to kind of hide her complicity in Robert's fate and sort of, the whole no questions asked thing when she signed up for SDN. It could be just an overwhelming amount of guilt, and now, physically seeing him in this sort of more broken state could be just too much for her. There's also the fact that Toxic says, "Hey, great. I'll go to the lab. Now get out of there, man." Which some suggest could be him specifically talking to her. That part, though, I don't necessarily fully agree with. It feels a little too on the nose for me, but I do think that overall, the general theory does hold some water and might lead to her either having some confrontation where Robert has to either forgive or, just screw her over and possibly get her kicked out of the program that she's serving in, and maybe we'll end up going against her again. Who knows? Only time will tell. Next up, Phenomenon is putting up a facade, and this has two diverging trains of thought that we can follow. The first is that he's actually some kind of alien that doesn't understand proper human customs, thus his sort of weird behavior and comments such as,
"Why are you so small?"
Hey, come on. You gotta stop asking people that.
The way you spoke of him made him sound impressive. I only seek to understand. I apologize. How was his first day? Was his lack of size and strength an issue?
Some people are using this as an allegory or legit case that the character could have some kind of autism even, which would honestly be a really cool representation in a game that feels so massive. I like the idea, but it almost feels like we've gotten a lot of other superhero properties where one of the big super characters is an alien, so it just, I don't know, I feel like it would be sort of out of nowhere and not very much satisfying or surprising to me as someone watching the story unfold. Our other train of thought could be, however, that he is actually secretly a bad guy. I know, cliche also as well, but stick with me. I have a very interesting way to make him not just be evil Superman number 512 where he eats babies and shit. Like, we don't need to go down that route. There's actually a much more profoundly interesting way I think we can do this. It would take a lot of inspiration from one of my favorite recent releases when it comes to anime, that being Super Crooks, another universe of awesome costumes, powers, and really well fleshed out characters. If you haven't watched Super Crooks, please go watch it. It is underrated to fuck. One of my favorites is the Praetorian, this very morally gray anti-hero style antagonist with a power that he randomly gets. Slowly over the course of the show, he goes from this adored superhero that the public loves to death to now this more sort of unfavorable man who's been acquitted of a lot of crimes he most definitely fucking committed, and he should be rotting in a supermax prison, but lawyers are lawyers, and they acquitted the shit out of him, and he now just kind of looks like a bum, very drunkard even, and eventually just gets hired as a muscle even for the show's final threat. That kind of complex duality that eventually costs someone who is loved and adored by the public everything would be so interesting to see unravel for Phenomenon. Maybe we don't go as evil or twisted as Praetorian, but something along this arc to show a man just dealing with the cards dealt in the worst possible way could be just so cool to see, honestly. And last but not least for today, I want to predict who may not end up surviving through until the end of the story. This is a wild swing for me, so I'm gonna bring up two possible contenders and why I think the way I think. One would be Chase, the other would be Gollum. Let's start with the easier one. Gollum is this sort of odd character that seems to have the best of intentions when it comes to doing better to help the city he's protecting. Sure, he's not the sharpest tool out there, but he seems to genuinely be this really chill kind of guy that people could probably get attached to. He's also the only character that's not somewhat humanoid. He's just kind of this puddle of mud and rocks and shit. And I think that is just such a perfect thing to just build up as this sort of lovable goof, somewhat to like Groot in some way, and it would honestly just make so much sense if you just kill that motherfucker off. Because, you know, I've learned one thing from video games, and it's that we can't have nice things, and you can treat that character like gold and then just rip out the viewer's heart. It would be a gut punch, honestly. But it would be so effective, honestly. It feels like the more wider swing of the two, but I don't know, I just feel like this would make some logistical sense because I feel like someone has to die on the squad. Chase, on the other hand, feels like it could be a super touchy moment to further deepen Mecha Man's character where he has to kind of reconnect with his past, maybe get more into the memories that he has and the backstory with his father and grandfather and how they were Mecha Man, and maybe we sort of unravel this more deeper level of trauma and expectation. That could be really cool. He's already aged physically pretty hard, so who knows how frail he may be, and maybe one day his heart gives out because he had one too many donuts and his cholesterol is just so fucking bad from it or something. I don't know. I feel like it could be really interesting. The thing I see most people saying though is that he is actually Shroud due to posture being similar to Shroud, how certain comments he made to Robert were sort of a bit darker about his father, and he legitimately said he would kill his father just to fucking get his powers back, which is like, okay, cool. I don't love this because I feel like the only way you could reasonably do this is if you have like in episode like maybe 5 or 6, you do this fake out death sort of thing, and then the following episode he's just back because like, I don't know, Mecha Man finally gets his suit back and he punches off his mask thing and he's like, oh, Chase, what? Oh my god. It just feels too predictable though. It just feels like it would be so... I feel like this is the thing that happens a lot in like superhero stories, but it just feels so boring. And these are the people who have made some incredible games from the Telltale sort of series. So it just feels like they would probably do something a little more interesting. I still feel like it's plausible because it's so easy, but only time will tell. I'm basing this solely off of the superhero genre. Maybe they're gonna defy expectations, who knows? I mean, they've been doing such a great job recently, so I'm really excited to see wherever we end up, but I do think one of these people are going to die. Or maybe it'll be someone completely different. These are just the ones that just feel the most right to me. Though if you do kill Chase, please, for the love of God, don't let it be some fake out bullshit. Just let him die. Just let him peacefully fade back into the earth. What did you think about episodes 1 and 2? Do you believe that my theories hold any weight, or am I just completely off base and I sound like a crazy person speaking into a plastic microphone that actually isn't working? It's just a prop. Sorry to break the illusion. Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe so you can be notified when we upload this again next week, hopefully going forward on Thursdays. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you may be, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye!